Hey Internet, it's me. Now, tonight's movie was The Headhunter. And now, I've been saying for a while, not on camera or anything, just in general to people I know, that one thing I really want out of horror that I'd never seen was fantasy horror. I don't just mean like something fantastical happens, I mean like the fantasy genre but with horror in it. You know, things like castles and knights and trolls and ogres and magic and dragons and whatever. Like, that's the perfect recipe for horror. It's all right there. Like, it's horror ready to go. There's so many ways you could go with that would fit the genre perfectly. Um, and tonight's movie was fantasy horror. And I kind of loved it. It was maybe not the best movie ever, but it was fun. I really enjoyed the direction they were going. I loved how everything looked. The visuals were really good. You know, the actor had very few lines because he was on his own, but just his body language and the way he moved and acted and seemed so just like stoic and just I don't know. Everything was great. To get into the story, the titular character, the headhunter, he was out with his daughter one time who was then killed by some monster, and so he became just a bounty hunter for the nearby castle. Every time, there was an order by the king to kill some monster traipsing, the lands, he would go out and kill them, cut off its head, and stick it on a stake in his wall. And he had been doing this over and over. Meanwhile, he would go and talk to his daughter at her grave and say, just say hi, leave her a little gift. Then at one point, he got the order from the king to go after the same monster that killed the daughter. So he goes and reassures her, like, hey, it's almost over, the thing is returned, I'm going to kill it. And then he goes, and it's a long battle, and the whole third act is him with this monster. And then, spoiler alerts, which you should know by now, but anyway, I'm going to spoil the movie. He kills the monster, and he goes and he tells her, hey, it's done. And then the monster comes back to life because it uses the same magic medicine that he does to heal itself. And so he has to hunt it down again. But in the process, the monster steals his daughter's body from her grave. And so when he hunts it down a second time, he has to separate, this monster's head and spine, which is controlling the body, from his daughter's, decomposed skeletal body. And he kills it, and then he reburies his daughter, and, he says, hey, now it's... He doesn't say anything that time, but, you can just tell, for him, it's done now. And it's a whole thing, and then at the end, he has this one window that the whole time had been squeaking and not closing properly, and that window is actually the thing that knocked down the medicine jar that cured the monster. And so he goes to fix the window, and then you don't see it happen, but off screen, the monster had come back again, kills the guy, removes his head, and takes over his body. It's just... It's a fairly simple plot, there's not too many twists or turns except for that one at the end, but it's fun to watch, it's a good film, it's enjoyable, it has all the horror elements, there are cool visuals, there are monsters, there's some tension, it doesn't shy away from blood or gore, every time the guy is injured, you kind of see the injuries, and then he puts the medicine over it, and mostly heals, but you see scars, and he has all these decapitated monster heads in various levels of decomposition stuck on stakes in his wall. All the elements are there. It has the visuals, it has the tension, it has a monster, it has fantasy. You see a troll, you see a castle, he's hunting all these monsters and things. One of the heads he puts on his wall is a severed, a lichen head. It's just, it hits all the notes. I really enjoyed it. Is it the best horror movie ever? No, probably not. Is it one I need to watch multiple other times? Not really, but I'll probably watch it at least once more when I have some other people around. Just be like, hey, check this out. But it just, I don't know, it kind of proved my theory that horror and fantasy can work really well together. Because I really think they did here. I think all those elements just kind of come together to give you the perfect foundation for horror. And they played off that, and it worked exactly how I thought it would. So that just made me really happy. Definitely glad this one was on my list for the year. And if you're looking for fantasy horror, which I always was, this is definitely worth checking out. They do a really good job here, and I would like to see more of this. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I gave away the whole plot. Like I said, with the actor, he didn't have many lines at all, but the way he acted and carried himself, still, I feel like his nonverbal acting was good. He looked like this person who was just kind of resigned to go through the motions and kill these monsters, mostly to get revenge on the one that killed his daughter. So he's got a very simultaneously stoic but also defeated kind of mannerism to him. He's kind of devoid of like humor or joy. At one point, his horse is killed, and he just kind of, hangs the reins on a tree and like he pats it for a second, I think, to acknowledge that he had, some sort of relationship with the horse. But, he doesn't say anything or act any differently. He's just, the horse is dead now, and he just kind of moves on. He goes and tells his daughter, and it's almost a non-event for him. He carves a wooden horse and then just tosses it into her grave and says, "Hey, the horse is dead." So there's not much left of this guy. He's basically just going through the motions, waiting for the day he gets to get revenge for his daughter. And then in the end, he does. So it all kind of comes full circle. And I think it all just works. That's it. That's all I can really say. It just works. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I recommend it. It just works. Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow.